Hurricane warnings are in place as Idalia continues to strengthen and head toward Florida. I have brand new concerns about new locations that could see stronger winds and storm surge concerns. Hi, everybody. I'm meteorologist Chris Justice, keeping you posted along the way as we are tracking this dangerous storm set to make landfall tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. Let's get right to the storm because it is strengthening tonight as we're watching it very closely as it's rolling toward the north. A tropical storm Idalia. At time of taping here, it's right before the 11 o'clock. I do expect this to strengthen to a hurricane as we go into the overnight hours. Whether that happens at 11 o'clock or 2 a.m. or 5 a.m., it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. This is a strengthening, deepening system, and the National Hurricane Center upped their forecast today to make it a Cat 3 at landfall with 120 miles per hour winds. That's getting close to Hurricane Category 4 strength, okay? And the key here is this thing's going to be moving quickly eventually. Right now it's not, and that's part of the problem is it's feeding off of the environment that it's in. And folks, this thing's going to take off and really not lose a lot of its punch as it goes through Georgia to where this thing could still have winds at 60 miles per hour rolling toward Charleston, rolling through Savannah, rolling through Myrtle Beach. Okay, got to watch this closely, and I do have growing storm surge concerns for Charleston, Folly Beach, and South Carolina, in addition to Tampa Bay northbound. Okay, the hurricane hunters are in this storm, and they're a different breed. You know, flying in these storms can be extremely volatile, but real-time data shows they're doing their thing. They crisscross through this to get a cross-section, to get pressure readings, and every bit of this data feeds our computer models, okay? So it gives us a fresh idea and a fresh look. So what's happening right now is the models by tomorrow morning will have this fresh data in and give us a great idea of what's going to happen. I can tell you by looking at the satellite tonight, brand new data in right here showing this thing is really blowing up on the western tip of Cuba. I mean, we're talking significant storms. I thought we were getting an eye wall earlier. It was really kind of turning in, and it looks like that kind of went through a cycle there. What's happening here is a couple of different things. You've got 85 degree plus waters that this thing's moving into. On top of that, there's a trough digging in right here. That is what we call allowing the system to vent. It's basically making it more efficient, almost like a chimney in a way, right? So the thunderstorms are going up, and then the jet's cutting off those the top of that storm, not to weaken it. Normally that can happen. That can certainly happen when you get wind shear like that. However, this is just enough to vent the storm, allow that that top of the storm to shoot off, and because that happens so much more quickly, the rising motion wants to enhance, and you get that pattern just to continue. It shoots the top off, it raises faster. Shoots the top off, raises faster. So the two are combining to allow this to possibly rapidly intensify tomorrow. I think looking at the models, I'll show you that here, that could certainly happen from really about 11 a.m. or noon and beyond tomorrow, to where every hour it's deepening 10 millibars or so, to where this thing's really going to get cranking tomorrow. Go from a Cat 1 to a Cat 2 to a Cat 3, all in about 12 hours, folks. All right, so as we look at waves, it's really generating some strong waves here. It's a rough night for western Cuba. I mean, significant waves, lots of wind, and flooding rains, unfortunately. Let's talk storm surge, folks, because folks watching in Tampa right now, I have growing concerns for Tampa and Sarasota, okay? We saw this happen with Fort Myers and Ian. When a storm is coming in like this, folks, the stronger it gets, and the closer the thing gets to a Cat 4, the more it's going to want to lean in to the right. So this thing could certainly, looks like it's going towards Cedar Key right now, but it certainly could make landfall just north of Tampa. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, yeah, it's going to make a difference of who sees the worst storm surge. But folks, you've got a monster here. You've got a Cat 3, maybe a Cat 4 sitting right out to sea. It's going to sling water in. I mean, it's like being in a bathtub and just pushing your hands down like that. I mean, it's going to slosh that water around no matter what, and that's going to work its way back into Tampa Bay, where the latest storm surge model here for Tampa, St. Petersburg, I mean, you're in this green right here, which gets us up here into close to 10 feet. 10 feet of storm surge certainly possible in those locations, okay? And you go down here toward Bradenton, Sarasota, a little bit less, but certainly still some impacts. Then you go up here towards Cedar Key. I mean, you're talking 8 to 12 feet of storm surge. That means the ocean, the water and the waves are crashing some 8 to 12 feet higher than they normally would. And that gets you to the top of some of those houses there along the coastline. So a dangerous situation, storm surge. That's why it can be unsurvivable if you're in the direct coastline right there and the waves are coming in and your house starts getting succumbed, and then you got wind that's at 120 miles per hour tearing the top of your house up. Say you make it to the second floor, but then the wind's coming in 120 miles per hour and the roof gets ripped off. I mean, that's why these things are just so dangerous, folks. And right there at landfall is where we're going to see the potential of that terrible wind and rain. Now, there are growing concerns for the Carolina coast and storm surge, especially because it looks like this could very well coincide with king tide. And that means the lunar cycle is such that the high tide's already high enough. And here we are into Charleston, Beaufort, Savannah, Tybee Island. Tybee could see some storm surge values that are 2 to 3 feet, which Tybee Island doesn't have very high elevation. That could put a lot of Tybee Island under some pretty big flooding. Same story with Hilton Head Island. This model right here is showing we could have a lot of Tybee flooded right here. Hilton Head, you've got some flooding. You scroll up here through Edisto, Seabrook, Folly. Then you get up here toward Charleston. Could have storm surge values of 2 to 5 feet here. So imagine where you're at, the ocean going 2 to 5 feet higher. That brings a lot of these lower elevations that are at sea level or even below at some points of Charleston into some dangerous levels here. Same story with Isle of Palms. Got to watch that very closely for you. We could have this be a little bit of a surprise for Myrtle Beach, Charleston to Hilton Head Island, to where the storm surge values are becoming a little bit more of a concern. All right, spaghetti models. They came in this evening and are showing basically I-95 East. They've been very consistent in that. It would be better for this to continue out to sea farther. However, it doesn't really matter. The storm, as it rolls through Jacksonville, is going to be slinging the water in like this. All right, so at some point you're going to get that onshore flow, and if that coincides with high tide and a king tide at that, we could have really this water going inland a lot more so. The best storm to really compare that to is Isaias. If you remember that one along the Carolina coast, that was significant with the flooding. The water was just so far inland. One of the highest storm surge values we've had in areas like Myrtle Beach, okay? So our three main computer models, the global models here, European, American, and Canadian, are showing this storm system rolling through Cedar Key. I'll say some of our higher resolution computer models are showing something a little bit different. Let me show you this. This is our in-house model that WYFF4 has exclusive access to. It is a very high resolution model, meaning it only goes out 3 days. So it's in its wheelhouse now of being really, really on par. So here we are Tuesday night. You've got Tampa Bay just succumbed to a lot of storm surge. That pushes that water from Tampa Bay into Tampa, and you're talking a wall of water, folks. Right there, we got a powerful Cat 2, Cat 3 hurricane right there, pushing water right into Sarasota and Tampa. It'll be a rough night Tuesday night into Wednesday. It pushes up toward the north where Cedar Key looks like the landfall location. But again, I really have concerns for this onshore flow right here for Tampa. I mean, this is significant, folks. Right there, just pushing all that wind and that water right into Tampa Bay. So Spring Hill up through Cedar Key. Looks like the landfall's at 6 a.m. on Wednesday. Then it's rolling to the north. Heads up Jacksonville. This thing's going to be booking it your way. If it's a Cat 3 at landfall, you can bet your bottom dollar it's going to be a Cat 1, maybe even a low-end Cat 2 by the time it arrives to you, and then it's weakening if it's over land, over South Georgia near Brunswick to a tropical storm or a Cat 1. This is some significant onshore flow at this time. This would be 3 p.m. on Wednesday. Some of the worst of this pulling into Charleston, into Myrtle Beach. Here in the Western Carolinas, we're not getting much, if any, impacts. We may get some rain out of it, but it's really going to be for Hilton Head, Charleston, and Myrtle Beach. Storm surge values here at 6 p.m. There's going to be a high tide at some point this coincides with, and this thing's rolling right up the coast. Beach erosion, storm surge could be a real problem here for Charleston, Myrtle Beach, up through Wilmington even. This is 9 p.m. Wednesday. We're drying out across the western Carolinas. That northerly wind's bringing in some cooler wind. But here we are past midnight. We're rain-free and looking better. 8 a.m. when you wake up on Thursday morning, the storm's past the Outer Banks and pulling away, and we got a big surge of northerly winds coming in. Let's look at the winds town by town, okay? So again, that wind getting powerful tomorrow into tomorrow night to where it's approaching Cedar Key. But folks in Orlando, folks watching right now in Central Florida, make sure you're tuning into West 2 News. Tony and the team are keeping you posted along the way. This is pushing some significant water right into Tampa Bay. Look at those winds, 53-mile-per-hour gusts, and that storm's right there pushing a big wall of water in, okay? This would be very early on Wednesday morning. Boom, here it comes, 112-mile-per-hour winds at landfall. It's booking it toward Jacksonville, likely still a Cat 1 hurricane. Then it's moving toward the north where it rides right along the coast to Hilton Head Island, Charleston, Myrtle Beach. Again, beach erosion, wind that is just going to be quite significant, and that storm surge could be something to contend with. Not only that, it's going to be absolutely pouring. You're talking 5-6 inches of rain being common. Some areas getting even higher than that, depending upon the track. Okay, if this thing trends farther east, things will improve across the western Carolinas. I should say the coastal Carolinas. Western Carolinas are going to see some rain tonight and tomorrow. You're seeing some right now in many locations, but that rain will continue off and on as we go into the overnight hours through tomorrow. And then Wednesday morning even could have some spotty rain here and there that could be heavy at times. We've got a frontal boundary near us on top of Idalia coming up toward the north. And here we are Wednesday morning, Wednesday night. Here we are Wednesday at 4 p.m. You got some steady rain across the area, breezy conditions, but then things are pushing out, all right? Things are looking better by the time we get into Thursday, and much better at that. Local forecast for the western Carolinas, you're going to get some wind, you're going to get some rain. Those gusts get up to about 30 miles per hour. Folks, again, if you're new to my channel, if you're new to me, I'm a no-nonsense forecaster when it comes to severe weather, whether it be a tornado outbreak, whether it be hurricanes. I'm going to shoot you straight. I'm going to tell you when it's time to be concerned. I'm also going to tell you when it's not. In this case, Tampa to Cedar Key, to the Big Bend region, we need to watch this very closely for you. Central Florida, same story. Tornadoes will be possible tomorrow, flooding rains, and then it moves toward Georgia as we go into Wednesday mid-morning, as we go into South Carolina, Charleston, Hilton Head, Myrtle Beach. I know many of you watch me right here. We're talking about this moving through midday Wednesday, so basically 11 a.m. to noon and beyond. Things are going to go downhill very quickly for you. If you haven't already, I'd urge you to please, if you appreciate my forecasting, of course, I'm focused here on the Western Carolinas, but if you're watching anywhere, I give long-range forecasts when it comes to severe weather outlooks, seasonal outlooks, and monthly outlooks. I'll give you my best call of what I'm seeing at the time, and the best thing is I'm transparent in my forecasting. You got to do that responsibly, okay? I can't just tell you this is what this model's showing. No, I give you my flavor, what I see out of the models, the trends that I'm seeing, and I'm going to shoot you straight. I'm not going to hide something from you just because I don't know. I'll be honest with you when I don't know something. In this case, I don't know exactly where it's going to make landfall, but I'd be very buttoned up and concerned from Sarasota to Tampa because, as we saw with Fort Myers, this thing could hook right. The stronger it gets tomorrow, the more it's going to want to lean to the right. And I'd be very concerned in Tampa, Sarasota, that this thing could be a little bit stronger coming into you. I still think landfall is probably looking Cedar Key or around there, but this thing could really be a lot stronger for your area if that happens. I'll keep you posted, folks. Another track comes out tonight, and of course we'll have much more tomorrow as we're tracking Idalia all the way through.